Hi, today we are doing something that I have been talking about for ages, but I have not been executing, and that is finally doing reviews outside of board games. So today we're looking at something called Pour Over. This is an all-glass coffee maker. I'm gonna compare this to the CHEMEX because I feel like a CHEMEX is just like a classic go-to drip coffee. And a quick premise, I am no coffee expert, nor am I a coffee connoisseur. I am no coffee analyst at all. I just enjoy coffee. I just love coffee, that's all. With that said, when this Kickstarter box arrived and it wasn't a board game, I was pleasantly surprised. Now the first thing that we gotta do is rinse it out. I'm not gonna drink it like this straight from the packaging. Are you kidding me? This needs to be sanitized. Now let's go ahead and clean this up and get some hot water in the studio. Now I kind of went a little bit further and set up an entire coffee station. So let's go ahead and start off by making the CHEMEX coffee first. Now, in order to make CHEMEX coffee, you need a CHEMEX. Now there are two types of CHEMEXes. You have one with the glass handle and one with a wooden handle kind of just around the neck here. The coffee we're using today is one that I've been really loving, and that is Water Avenue Coffee. The flavor is Rwanda Mayogi, a woman-led cooperative. Of course, they are the ones blessing us with some delicious coffee. It smells so good. The tasting notes for this one, peach, apricot, honey, and almond butter. Oh my God, it smells so good. Now, typically for CHEMEX coffee, I think you need like 35 grams of coffee from what I remember, but it's pretty much like one of these 1/8 cups and a half. I usually do like a 5-second and a 2-second spin. You just want like a coarse ground. Now from there, you wanna get your water hot. I'm using a Kasori kettle. All of these things are linked down below if you're interested. You want to pre-wet the coffee filter. That way you don't get that papery taste. You know, to be honest, I don't really taste the differences between like a paper taste versus a non-paper taste, but this is the proper way to do it. Temperature for water is supposed to be around like 205 to 210 degrees. And then we're gonna go ahead and get rid of this water. Now that water also helps to heat up the glass, that way you get nice hot coffee. Actually, 1.5 of the 1/8 tablespoons comes out to be like 22 grams, so I do way less. 35 grams for this much is a little bit too much for me. There's no other way to start your morning than to get some delicious smelling coffee. Okay, we're gonna let that bloom for like 30 to 45 seconds and then add in the rest of the water. Now, I don't like to weigh out my water normally because that's an extra step that we don't need to take. So instead, I kind of just count to 38 circles, 38 rounds of just pouring this in a circular motion. You don't want to pour on the side, you want to pour right in the middle, that way the coffee doesn't get stuck in the filter. So we do that around 38 times and it's pretty much done. Now while we're letting this one drain, we have 20 grams of medium to coarse coffee to put into the Pour Over. The instructions say to first, we have the base, we have this right on top. Coffee goes straight into the glass. Now from there, the diffuser goes right on top, and then we're gonna add water to saturate the grounds and let it sit there for 20 seconds. Wow, that was so dumb. Actually, I was supposed to put it on top of a mug. Okay, we're letting the coffee bloom one more time, this time in a mug. So I guess they have two versions. They have the Pour Over Dripper, which is the one I got. And then there's also the Pour Over Kit, which has glass on glass. So that way you can actually pour it into a container instead of putting it directly into your cup. But I mean, it works out, right? Either way, it just ends up in one mug anyway. So you can see it's like really slow compared to the CHEMEX brew. Definitely need to mix it up more so it's not too stuck. Oh, actually that makes it much better. So just mixing it, I guess, just really, it really just drops the coffee down. I guess you really have to kind of temper it a little bit with the glass rod. You really have to make sure like there's room for it to breathe. Because if not, it's just going to like get stuck and just be there all day. There's also, when you're pouring coffee into here, there's like this separation between like water and coffee. And then when you have that separation typically on the CHEMEX, the coffee's not gonna taste good. It's gonna taste very watery. So I am curious to know how this ends up tasting. But the coffee definitely looks different. It's much darker than the CHEMEX brew. Let me show you. So you can see here between the two brews, even if this isn't in like a transparent glass, CHEMEX brew much lighter, much clearer, much more transparent. But then in the Pour Over brew, you see it's much more milky, a little bit muddier. It's definitely more milky, not as transparent. So with that, we have our classic CHEMEX coffee face-off in a Banff mug versus a Portland mug of Pour Over coffee. I'll go ahead and taste the CHEMEX first, since this is something I am 100% familiar with. See, what I love about CHEMEX is that you get the full flavor of the coffee beans. If you make CHEMEX right, it's like not bitter at all. I think that's what puts people away from drip coffee a lot of times. It's like, without the cream and sugar, they think that coffee is so bitter and untastable, but if you make it right, It's actually a little bit sweet, depending on the coffee beans you use, of course. Yep, know that taste. Classic CHEMEX coffee. Very clean, very light, very airy. And the Puro coffee. You know, this one I think is most similar to French press coffee because you get more of the coffee oils. You definitely taste like that saturation. It's a bit more bold for sure. I thought it was gonna be sandy and grainy because of the filter, but actually it's not. Like I see little bits of coffee that kind of just went through the filter, but you don't really taste that sandy grittiness. I like the glass stirring rod itself, but I don't like having to use it. I feel like that's an extra step that I don't want to do. I usually like to just set it and forget it type thing. That's why for the CHEMEX it's really nice because you just let it bloom and then right after that you just pour water and then it's good to go. But then for this one you kind of have to temper it a little bit, maybe like 2 or 3 times to make sure the filter on the bottom isn't too stuck. So I think the coffee grind size is very important for the Puro Over. If it's too small, it's gonna go through the filter. If it's too big, then you might not get the full flavor profile. And then like mixing in with the stirring rod kind of introduces a ton of variability, like the layers that you've seen, like in the layer of separation between the coffee and the water in the B-roll that you saw. So it's like, how much do I really mix it? Do I mix it a little bit? Do I kind of just poke a hole? However, the overall craftsmanship though, and like the design of this, I think overall is really, really nice. I love the way water is just like falling from there. It's very pleasing and calming. It's like one of those desk toppers that you have, like a fountain, they kind of just stare at during work. This is one of those things. So overall, it's not bad. I think for the Puro Over, if you like bolder coffee, if you like to taste the coffee oils that doesn't get sapped away from like the paper filters and the CHEMEX, then for sure, Puro Over is a great option. I also like how it's all glass. You don't have to worry about buying filters every month. So in the end, actually you save a lot more money using the Puro Over. And also it's more environmentally friendly, of course, using the Puro Over versus CHEMEX coffee, which you have to buy paper filters every month. Like this is $15 to $30 a month depending on how Amazon feels. But personally, if I'm being honest, I still prefer the taste of the CHEMEX coffee. I do like the airier feel to it. Also I feel like I taste more of the coffee itself in this one. But maybe it's also because I'm just used to like a CHEMEX flavor. But bottom line though, this is a keeper, a staple in my coffee collection. I have so many versions of coffee makers. I have a CHEMEX, I have a mocha pot, I have a regular coffee drip. We have like the pod thing that I never use, my fiance uses it. A siphon too as well. A French press, if I didn't mention that already. And now a Puro Over is a nice, beautiful addition to that collection. I think ideally it would be nice to have a little coffee station, coffee bar, and like a future studio upgrade. Kind of just put all the coffee makers right there, see what I'm feeling like that day. And Puro Over is for sure gonna stay. Do I like it? Yes. Is the flavor profile good? It's different. I think it's very similar to French press. If you like French press coffee, you probably will like the Puro Over. If you also don't want to spend, you know, $15 to $25 a month on filters for CHEMEX, then for sure, go for the Puro Over. However, if you like a more crisp, light, airy taste, something that is a little bit more sweet, then definitely go with the CHEMEX. But again, as you can tell, I am no coffee expert. I just enjoy coffee. So leave any comments down below if you have any questions about the Puro Over, if you like the whole coffee brewing experience that we did. Should we do more of these? Should we do some more, you know, outside of board game reviews? Let me know. Thank you for joining me on this experimental coffee episode, and I'll see you all in the next video.